All right, let's welcome back to Straight Fire. You know him. He covers the NBA, lives out here in LA, married, now writing for Essentially Sports. Mark Medina. How you doing, Mark?
J-Mac, I am on cloud nine. You know why? Because we get to talk some hoops, give some takes, and have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Very exciting time in the NBA. I will say, Mark, I'm a little disappointed that now that everybody's paying attention to the NBA, football's in the rearview mirror. The takes are a little over the top. Luka has a bad game. The Lakers get smashed. Can you win with Luka Doncic? I don't know. Meanwhile, Denver Nuggets lose to the Curryless Warriors. Nobody says a peep about Jokic. SGA's been missing in action for what is that, like 3 weeks now, a month? Nobody says anything. It's weird how the media likes to pick and choose who they go after. As we record this here on a Monday afternoon, I'm about to fire up Spurs Pistons. Are there any? I would say anything that's jumping out at you here as we get to late February, early March, about 20-ish games left in the season.
J-Mac, well, first off, it's interesting what you mentioned about the NBA and all the takes. The good thing is our takes are going to be correct, so no one has anything to worry about. What jumped out to me at the NBA is that literally everything is going on at once. You have the jockeying on who are the true contenders in the East West. You can make a case for Boston, for Cleveland,
Yeah.
for Detroit. In the West, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Spurs, and then all the talk about the tanking and how terrible some of these other teams are with improving their lottery odds when you're looking at Indiana, Utah, Washington, Brooklyn. So and then obviously Lakers are always fascinating. The Clippers are always fascinating. I feel like literally every single team has a notable storyline.
Yeah. You mentioned kind of like a lot there. I want to get specific. Let's go over some random seeds before we get to like the popular Lakers and all that stuff. I want to start with a team, probably the biggest disappointment in the league. Who would you characterize as the biggest disappointment? And I know my answer, but I'll let you go first.
Well,
It could be player or team. It doesn't have to. Yeah.
my biggest disappointment has also been the biggest surprise, and that's the LA Clippers because I did not foresee them going 6-21. Then I did not foresee them digging out of a hole now to be in the play-in tournament. So it's almost like a self-inflicted wound. I know obviously there's injuries to account for with Bradley Beal and Kawhi Leonard,
Mhm.
but that team just has so many different dueling personalities and obviously this investigation's hovering over them. So there's always been a lot of potential turbulence, but a potential upside for them as well.
I was going to go Orlando Magic. I know they've had some
Yeah,
injuries,
that's fair too.
but
Yeah.
I mean, what after they made the move to get Desmond Bain, I had them top four. Like, oh, I think this team is sleeper for the Eastern Conference Finals. This could be the new Indiana, right? And they're now languishing seventh in the East. Wagner, no timetable for his return. Banquero has been. I don't think he's made the leap people thought he would after that pretty damn good series against Cleveland last year. I am curious. Orlando heads into the offseason like they're going to be in the luxury tax. They've got some stars. Hasn't totally panned out yet. I've been saying they are a logical landing spot for Giannis. Do you think Orlando, I don't want to say blows it up, but tries something outside the box here in the offseason if they, a luxury tax team that doesn't even make the first round?
Yeah, well, I think let's separate these two things here. Yes, the Magic have had a disappointing season. I remember talking to different people on the team, including Desmond Bain. They're all thinking they're part of the championship contention mix. Now, does that mean they're going to blow it up? No, I think that their main calling card has been trying to have some continuity, but also keeping some money on the table so that they can get someone. Now, completely different comparison, but you may recall few years ago, they had cap space carved out for Klay Thompson. Now, Klay is not the same caliber player when
No.
he was weighing his future, but it is this idea that they do want to have continuity around Paolo Banchero and a good core, but also have enough assets to try to make some moves. But I think that they made a pretty significant move already with, trading so many first round picks for Desmond Bain that now it's about trying to improve from within. But yeah, this has been disappointing across the board. Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, they've all had different injuries at inopportune times.
Yeah.
But even when they've been healthy, Ben Caro's gone through a lot of different struggles with inconsistent performances, getting
Mhm.
more attention on the scouting report. But in theory, they're supposed to have enough depth around him so that it wasn't that big of an issue with the Wagner brothers, with Desmond Bain, addressing their main weakness last season with 3-point shooting. So it's very confounding that they're, where they are in the East. They're not out of it as far as the play-in picture. But to your
Mm.
point, this is a team that we were talking about potentially,
Yeah.
knocking on the door as an actual contender.
And I bring them up. I'm sure some people are like, Orlando, what the hell are you doing, Jay? I bring them up because I'm looking at next year's estimated salaries. Cleveland Cavaliers, number one, 218 million. There's going to be pressure on them to deliver in the postseason. Number two, Orlando Magic, $215 million. Uh, that's going to be unacceptable. Now, you could say, well, hey, we'll give it another shot. We'll fire the coach. We'll bring in some new guy, and maybe that'll be the elixir. Again, like this postseason feels wide open in the East. Cavs, Knicks, Celtics, Magic. I don't know who's coming out. If I had to ask you right now, as Detroit is playing the Spurs, and Detroit is down big early, who would you think's coming out of the East?
I don't think there's a predominant favorite because of what you just mentioned, all those teams. But if I had to rank it order, I would say Knicks, Pistons, Celtics. Knicks, I give the edge because even though they've been kind of up and down, it seems like there's been better versions of Cat, better versions of Brunson, their dynamic and their continuity more than their weaknesses. I think also Mike Brown's a great coach. I know that there's been adjustments to his system, but I think that that faster pace is going to help them in the postseason. But Detroit, they're the real deal. They're not the bad boys Pistons, but they play a very physical brand of basketball. I think Cade Cunningham is an MVP candidate, two-way player. Oscar Thompson's a great perimeter player. They have a lot of, I think, youthful depth. And if they are going to fall short, it's not because they're overwhelmed. They're not afraid. It's just tactical.
Yeah,
Boston, I should probably elevate them because they've proven us all wrong this entire season. And Peyton Pritchard is playing out of his mind, and Jaylen Brown has got an MVP endorsement from LeBron James, and Jason Tatum might come back. But I
yeah,
do wonder at some point, will this catch up to them? Not in the sense that they're not the real deal. They are the real deal, but just the idea of any of these scenarios that you have to rely on their supporting cast and Brown in a playoff series, or Jason Tatum comes back, and even with the ramp up of conservative minutes playing time in the last month of the regular season for the playoffs, it seems like that might be too many juggling pieces. But look, they're at least getting to the second round, and I don't think anyone thought that was going to happen. I
yeah.
think a lot of people thought this is a gap year, to just develop guys and then pave the way for next season when Jason Tatum is going to be fully healthy.
So my only question is, so the gambling lines tell a totally different story. The Cavs have better odds than the Pistons. You didn't mention the Cavs just now. Is this because are we, Mark, falling into the trap of, oh, Detroit looks great in the regular season, that team is dangerous? And I used this on the herd last week. I said, remember the Toronto Raptors with Lowry and DeRozan every year, 55, 60 wins, right? How many Paul
They
George?
also ran against LeBron in Cleveland.
Yeah, Paul George ran up
Yeah.
against LeBron as well. And there was
Yeah.
another, last year's Cavs. We just see these teams in the East, these tryhards do a really great job in the regular season, then flame out.
No, it's a really good point. And there's a lot of examples with that. I think the Phoenix Suns a few years ago are another perfect example. The season after they went to the NBA Finals, 2021. The thing is, it's really hard to predict any of these scenarios. It's like choose your own adventure. The
Yeah.
thing that I have with Cleveland is that even though I think that the fit can work short term with Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, mostly because Donovan Mitchell is considered such a selfless player on the Cavaliers, and James Harden, he's a great pick and roll player. So I'm just thinking out loud what that looks like for Jalen Allen, Evan Mobley. I just can't get past the
Mm.
playoff resume that James Harden, whether it's because of injuries at the wrong time or just him shrinking the biggest moments, that is his resume. And yeah, so that's that.
Well, it's tough because he's had some great games. I mean, hell, the last time he was in the playoffs, he was excellent, I believe, against Philly. Um, the problem is, we highlight his mistakes. What about the Pistons? They don't have any playoff history. Like Cade Cunningham hasn't won anything in the playoffs. 2 games. I think they haven't won a home playoff game since like 2008. And that's, I don't know. I feel like people are really overrating the Pistons, or they're just happy that like the bad boys are back. That kind of narrative.
Yeah, it might be the latter too. But I think it's also the fact that they're a young, up and coming team. They're growing organically from within. JB Bickerstaff is a really good coach.
Yeah.
And so I think he's instilled that toughness. Talking to people around the Pistons organization these last 2 years, they feel that JB's really set the tone with having that workman-like attitude, but feeling very empowered. Like he is considered a player's coach. So I know that some of it has to do with the fact that hey, they're a new story, it's a shiny new
Yeah.
toy, but they do have a legitimate roster. And look, James Harden, magnificent player. He is part of the reason why the Clippers had their turnaround this season to begin with. But even last season with the playoffs, like against the Denver Nuggets with the Clippers, he has this amazing game 6, to force a game 7, then completely shrinks in game 7. He had a struggling
Mhm.
series earlier. And so I just lean on the fact that he showed us so many times and times again that now I'm in the mode of, I'm crossing my arms and
Oh,
waiting
yeah,
for you to
yeah.
prove me wrong.
Wait, I must have been thinking of Harden with the Sixers against the Celtics. Was that long ago?
Yeah, you know what? Seasons go by fast. So do different teams. I mean, and
He's been on a million teams.
James Harden epitomizes that. I mean, it was only 6 years ago that he was with the Houston Rockets, and he made stops in Brooklyn, Philly, Clippers, now Cleveland. I mean, he's racked up the frequent flyer miles. That's for sure.
It's weird. I mean, he has such the narrative, and I feel like the narratives build around NBA players way more than NFL. I mean, if you asked 50 NBA fans about James Harden, oh, he sucks in the postseason. He doesn't play any defense. He's selfish. Meanwhile, his numbers and for his career, he's like one of the most productive guards in NBA history. People don't want to hear that though.
Well, J-Mac, I think both things can be true.
Yeah,
He's a really incredible regular season player. He has also had incredible playoff performances, but he's also
yeah,
laid a lot of
yeah.
eggs when you need him the most, whether it's because of an unforeseen injury or just fatigue getting the best of him or just blanking off the rim. I mean, that's the thing that's so complicated, but also very clear about James Harden is there's a lot of versions you're going to get from him, and he's kind of outlined a pretty predictable pattern on how, which version he will show of himself depending on the season.
Do you think this whole rings culture nonsense perpetrated by Barkley and Shaq and all them? I mean, do you think that hurts a guy like James Harden? Because there were so many guys in the 80s and 90s who didn't win titles, and we never said, "Oh, they're not that good," or maybe there wasn't enough media or social media to say, "Oh, he's just not good. He's just a playoff flopper." I mean, how many times did the Cavs lose in the playoffs? The Bulls and Jordan before they finally broke through after playoff failures against the Pistons and Celtics. I mean, a lot of guys just didn't win titles. It's okay. I mean, I would personally put Harden among the 25, 30 top players in the history of the league. Would you, or is that you'd have to do too much of a deep dive?
Well, as far as the exact order of that, I'd have to do a little bit of a
Yeah.
deeper dive. But yeah, he's a generational player. I think that he can be considered in that mix. He's also like the second best shooter of all time behind Steph Curry from a statistical standpoint. When you
Wow.
talk to people around the league, when you talk to people around the league about James Harden and his legacy, they mention how he's really changed how the game is played. Steph Curry has that distinction, but so does James Harden. Because the thing about when James Harden went to the Houston Rockets and played for he played for Kevin McHale, but when he was with Mike D'Antoni, it wasn't 7 seconds or less Phoenix Suns Mike D'Antoni. It was let's run isolation James Harden sets and have fall away shots. And he really extended the range on the court and also really made teams more disciplined on how they defend the pick and roll and prioritize,
Yeah.
handle how they switch everything. So yeah, he's definitely changed the game. He is going to be seen as a historical player, but I think the thing that's complicated in today's age is that the positives and the criticisms can all be true. It's just how you meld it together and put into context here. So just because he hasn't won a championship doesn't mean that he's not a great player, but there have been tangible factors beyond just things outside of his control that have contributed to his respective team coming up short in the
Yeah. And
playoffs.
he's also changed the way they officiate. I think there was rules specifically
Yes,
put in place
he has
for his
many
gathering. Yeah.
times. So much
Uh,
that the NBA has had to change the rules on that,
yeah.
on the on the landing space and the flop and all that.
Yeah. Speaking of checkered history, we haven't done much on Kevin Durant. First of all, did you bother dig into the burner stuff? And if so, your thoughts? And if you didn't, I'm just curious how you think the Rockets handle like allegations like this. Like I don't know, working together on a team toward a specific goal, and meanwhile this guy's trashing you in text messages, saying Jabari Smith is retarded and Alperen Şengün can't pass or play defense or shoot. Like that's sorry, not shoot, not pass. He said he couldn't shoot or play defense. I mean, that's kind of hard to look your teammates in the face after that, right?
Well, without a doubt. And look, to your question, have I done a deep dive? I haven't probed every single thing, but I've certainly read some of the things. And while we can't definitively prove that it's Kevin Durant, it just seems plausible that it is. First, his non-denial denial was fairly weak, saying that
Yep.
I have not into the Twitter nonsense. If that wasn't him, I would think that he would be a lot stronger with making it clear that wasn't him. And then secondly, sadly, this is part of a pattern that we've seen with Kevin, where
Oh yeah.
he is an incredible player. And don't get me wrong, and the personal interactions are great. And he has these like healthy give and takes, not just with media, but with teammates about talking about the game. That's fine. But when he's getting into really, talking negatively about guys, I'm not going to say it's here's the distinction. They can still proceed as if nothing's happened in the short term, but
Mhm.
those things are always remembered. They're never forgotten about. And I can't help but think that when there are going to be moments of adversity moving forward, and there already have been, like it's hard to really rally around and have these heart to hearts when you know what's being said behind closed doors.
Yeah, it is weird. You know how I know that Durant is implicated here is he went and usually you have to do and you're seeing this in politics. Anytime like some bad news comes out, hey, we got to do damage control. Let's give an exclusive interview to somebody and let's say some crazy stuff. So he went and spoke to ESPN and came out and was like, "Oh, I'm playing in the Olympics in 2028." And also, we crushed France. I don't want to hear about these. And he's saying all this outlandish stuff to take the shine, Mark, away from the text messages. I mean, maybe I'm being too conspiracy theory, but go ahead. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I don't know the timing of when ESPN did those interviews. That some of those things take a while to do, so that may have happened before
Oh, that's
the
fair.
burner accounts. But I am amused a little bit of the comments that it's one thing for him to say, "Hey, I'm playing to play as long as I'm still playing at a high caliber level and I'm deserving of it, et cetera, et cetera." But he was casting kind of aspersions on, "Hey, where did this whole narrative come from that LeBron's not playing or Steph's not playing after the Olympics?" I think LeBron pretty much made it clear he's not playing.
Yeah, he's
Steph
done. Yeah.
like kind of hedged and suggested unlikely. So it's not like this is being manufactured out of thin air. And also the fact that, it's very unprecedented for players to be playing well past their 40s and still being considered for the Olympics. Now, that is a testament obviously to LeBron James and Kevin Durant and Steph Curry that they're still playing at this high of a level. But this idea of, hey, where did this all come from? And why are you assuming anything? No one's assuming anything here. They've already suggested that after the Olympics were done in
Yeah.
Paris.
All right, we can wrap up with a little bit of Lakers. I know a lot of people are getting sick of it, but to me, they're the most interesting team in the league. And this whole LeBron cloud hovering over the franchise, they really are in a holding pattern. I would just like to push back against the critics, Mark, who say, well, the Lakers can't win. Look at this crap team around Luka. Guys, they had a team built around LeBron and AD. A year ago, they trade for Luka. It's like moving the Titanic with these new rules and aprons. You can't just instantly flip your roster totally. A lot of guys were locked into contracts. They were built around LeBron and AD. And so I just feel like people are overreacting to this. Oh, well, they don't have the roster that Detroit has or OKC. Mark, those teams have been garbage for years. They get high picks in the draft. Cade went one, Chet went two. Okay, now they're really good. Yeah, the Lakers weren't crap. They were competing for titles for the last 5 years. I know they weren't close other than the bubble one, but they ran into Denver, which won the title, and Jokic. I just feel like it's blown out of proportion and people are just taking shots at the Lakers. Do you agree?
Yeah, so I think the reality when you're looking at this team, I don't think they're a championship contender. I think that they can get to the second round, but it has nothing to do with any criticisms about Luka Doncic or LeBron James, and to a lesser extent, Austin Reeves. I think it has more to do with the roster construction around them. And look, this isn't to make an excuse for the Lakers. It's actually to highlight the reality is that ever since the Russell Westbrook trade, they've been digging themselves out of that mistake, as well as letting Alex Caruso leave because of luxury tax concerns.
Yeah.
They've seen that during the Anthony Davis, LeBron James era, that their best pathway toward competing for a championship or winning it is to have the right roster depth around them instead of a quote unquote third star. And so
Yep.
they made course corrections with the Westbrook trade, but they haven't quite found the correct roster combinations around LeBron and AD. And now that they got Luka Doncic, same thing. And last summer, I think that there are fair criticisms through each offseason and through each trade deadline on how acceptable is it for Rob Pelinka in the front office to be deliberative with the future when you have a generational star with LeBron James? It should be about, going all in to have championships. But the problem is, to your point, there's second apron concerns. There's more leverage when you have draft picks leading into the draft as opposed to now. They don't have as many draft picks as they will in June. And so, yeah, I think in the short term, even if Luka, LeBron, Austin play more games together, I think they're ceiling second round. I think LeBron almost conceded that fact when I asked him at All Star availability, what does he think the team can do if they're reasonably healthy? And he said he doesn't know because of all the newness with everything. And the team's been inconsistent this season. Sometimes they've been great in clutch games. Sometimes they've gotten blown out a lot. They haven't won against playoff caliber teams as much. So they're an ultimate Jekyll and Hyde. But the reason why they're Jekyll and Hyde is they have an inconsistent supporting cast. So this summer will be about seeing what they can do to address that. Whether either it's getting involved with the Giannis sweepstakes or just finding the right roster pieces that can hit 3-pointers and defend at a more consistent rate than the current options they have.
Yeah. Don't you think at the same time last year at this time, if somebody said Indiana Pacers, can they go to the finals? You would have said, no, they would probably go second round. I'm not a lot of people, Mark, in the media had them beating the Cavs. I think, ESPN does like 25 people picking. I think like 24 picked the Cavs in that series. Now, I was open. I loved the Pacers. I thought they could beat the Cavs. I didn't think they beat the Knicks and go to the NBA Finals and go to Game 7. It's like, I know people are down on this Lakers team, and I get it, but this league, things happen. Not many people had the Knicks beating the Celtics, and they were in control of that series when Tatum goes down. So, like, just the idea that the Lakers seal it second round, I think that's totally reasonable, right? Rockets are, Timberwolves are going through some stuff. But we'll see. I mean, Aaron Gordon, SGA, like a couple guys' injuries could easily swing things, no?
Yeah. And look, when I'm giving this criticism with the Lakers, it's not as strong as when Charles Barkley was saying the other day. Like, there's no way they can
Yeah,
beat
he's
X teams, X teams. With the Indiana Pacers, I didn't foresee them getting to the finals, but it didn't have much to do with, hey, I have big picture concerns about their roster. It had more to do with just I was really high on Cleveland, really high on New York. With the Lakers, I said what I said about, what their deficiencies are. But to your point, we have to keep in mind there's always injuries that can impact a team, and there's a lot of question marks, with different teams in the West as far as their durability. Number two, even with the deficiencies I mentioned about the Lakers, all it takes is Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves and LeBron James to really produce at a high offensive clip in a series, and they have the potential to do that. So for me, I don't think it's sustainable enough for a 7-game series, but you can't rule that out because that trio is very offense. They have so much offensive brilliance and talent that if they're able to lean into that and minimize missed shots, turnovers, that can camouflage some of those defensive shortcomings that I mentioned.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. All right, Mark Medina. Obviously, he's on TV all the time. I see him out here in LA. On that, is it NBC? I think it's NBC, right?
CBS, LA, Sports
CBS.
Central, Spectrum, Sportsnet. And
Yeah.
whenever you all want me to go to the FS1 studios, I'll hop on by.
Nice? Who's the guy that you do the CBS with? Is it Jim Hill?
Jim Hill, yeah, the great legendary Jim Hill.
I mean, that guy's been around for a while, dude. It's good to
Yeah,
see
we've
him
been
more.
celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the great Jim Hill. It's been a
Wow.
pleasure to work with him. It's just got so much enthusiasm, work ethic, talent. He knows everybody, and it almost feels like, well, not feels like, he literally is at every major sporting event here in Los Angeles while also doing the Sports Central show on the on
Jeez.
CBS LA. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. All right, buddy. Good to see you. Take it easy.
J Mac, likewise. Appreciate you.